You've never once checked the tree line before letting your kids outside. 2 million years ago, your ancestors checked it every single time, and they were still wrong often enough that it mattered. You assume your species has always been the one doing the hunting. For most of your history, that's backwards. For millions of years, you weren't the apex predator. You were prey. Specifically, repeatedly, and not always from the ground. So why does some part of you still act like that could happen tonight? This isn't a guess. It's written directly onto the bones. A small skull, found in South Africa, has two puncture marks sitting right at the base of its eye sockets. Not from a blade, not from a fall, from talons. The Taung Child, an early relative of yours who died roughly 2 to 3 million years ago, has damage matching exactly what a modern crowned eagle leaves on a monkey after it rips the eyes out to reach the brain. Researchers compared the skull directly against monkey kills from crowned eagles still hunting today in Ivory Coast's Thai forest. The marks line up. You look up at a bird overhead and feel nothing. Your ancestors' entire species had a reason to flinch at that same shape in the sky. The sky wasn't even the more dangerous direction. So what was? In another South African cave, a fossil skull cap carries two punctures spaced exactly the width of a leopard's canines. Researchers see brain matched them directly to a fossil leopard jaw found in the same layer of rock, not a scavenged corpse. A kill. Your ancestor wasn't unlucky once. This was routine enough to leave a pattern across multiple sites, multiple predators, multiple species of early human. Saber-toothed cats, cave hyenas, crocodiles at the waterline you had no choice but to drink from. You were on every one of their menus at once. This wasn't unique to one place, either. Half a world away in China, a famous cave called Zhoukoudian holds a huge collection of Homo erectus remains, plenty of skulls and teeth, almost no full skeletons. For decades, some researchers read that pattern as evidence of cannibalism. Later taphonomic work reread the bones themselves and found a different story. Bite marks, fracture patterns, even acid-etched bone consistent with an animal's stomach. Roughly 2/3 of the human remains at that site carry marks matching a giant extinct hyena dragging bodies back to its den to feed. Not a myth, a measured pattern across the fossil record. And you had almost nothing to fight back with. So what did you actually have? No claws built for it, no real speed, no natural armor, just a body built for endurance and a brain that hadn't yet found its advantage. Night made it worse. Your vision was never built for the dark, and neither was your ancestors'. Every rustle outside a shelter, every sound in the black, was a live question with a real cost for getting the answer wrong. That's not a metaphor for a feeling you might recognize. It's the actual, literal, physical situation your ancestors lived inside for millions of years. So they found the first real answer, and it wasn't a weapon. It was each other. A group sleeping, moving, and watching together is a much harder target than one body alone in the dark. Numbers bought you warning time. Then, at some point still debated by researchers, came a second answer. Fire kept burning through the night, close to where you slept. Most large predators avoid open flame instinctively. A burning perimeter didn't make you strong. It made the calculation not worth a predator's effort. For the first time, sleep stopped being the most dangerous part of your day. The next shift took hundreds of thousands of years longer, and it changed everything. In Germany, in a place now called Schöningen, archaeologists found wooden spears roughly 400,000 years old, deliberately shaped, weighted for throwing. Before that spear, keeping a predator at a distance meant running or dying. After it, distance itself became a weapon you controlled. You didn't need to outrun a cave lion anymore. You needed to be far enough away when it charged. That single shift from purely reactive to actively defensive is the hinge this entire story turns on. It didn't happen all at once. Predation on early humans didn't stop the day the first spear was thrown. It happened gradually, over hundreds of thousands of years. Better weapons, tighter cooperation, controlled fire, and eventually numbers large enough that no predator's odds made sense anymore. Somewhere in that long grind, the relationship flipped. The species that had spent millions of years checking the tree line became the thing everything else in the tree line had to worry about. You are the direct, unbroken result of every one of those checks that came back correctly. Every one that didn't ends the line right there. That's not a metaphor either. It's arithmetic. You exist because enough ancestors, enough times, guessed right about what was in the dark. Here's what's strange. You never had to learn any of that fear. You were born with most of it already installed. The flinch at a sudden shadow overhead. The extra second of stillness when something moves in the grass at night. The extra push through your chest when you think you heard something behind you. None of that is taught. It's inherited from a version of your family line that needed it constantly for far longer than it's needed anything since. You'll probably never meet an animal that could actually kill you tonight. But the part of you that still checks is millions of years older than the part of you that knows you're safe. Somewhere behind every flinch you've ever dismissed as irrational is a real, specific ancestor who flinched at exactly the right moment and lived. The ones who didn't flinch aren't behind you. They're simply not anywhere in your family tree at all. So the next time something moves at the edge of your vision and your whole body reacts before your mind catches up, don't brush it off as nothing. It isn't nothing. It's the oldest, most tested alarm system you own, built across millions of years by ancestors who were, for most of that time, something else's meal. You spend your whole life certain you're at the top of the chain. For almost all of your species' history, that was the exception, not the rule. The eagle, the leopard, the fire that kept them both at bay, the spear that finally let you stop simply reacting, all of it is still sitting quietly inside the same nervous system reading this sentence. You didn't inherit the world at the top of the food chain. You clawed your way there, one correct flinch at a time. The only reason you get to feel safe tonight is that, for millions of years running, your ancestors mostly didn't.
Ah, I understand. Follow, and see you next time. For another thing, you'll never look at the same way again.